Okay, so let's go straight to the video.
Is it? Huh? Is it?
Don't you record that?
Yeah.
I was just kidding. This is where I was gonna kill you.
Huh?
This is where I was gonna kill you.
Is it? Huh? Is it?
Don't you record that?
Yeah.
I was just kidding.
Okay, so hopefully y'all can hear me, but this is something that I just found on TikTok, and I just think it's kind of interesting. I was going through some of the comments. I see that she's dating this guy. Obviously, she's a BLK woman. He's a YT man. And she was defending him, saying, it's not what people think it is. She's basically showing them in different settings and giving the idea that you shouldn't believe everything that you see on the internet. So I don't know for sure if this is a joke. When I say a joke, I mean they both were in on it, or if it was just her in real time filming something and then posting it because of fear and then later backtracking. I know sometimes women do have certain experiences with men that they're dating and then they'll share it to the internet. And then when they see the backlash that they got, I mean, of course, unless somebody already has a very large following, and even if they do, but many times people may not even know that they're going to go viral on something, right? I can be dating a guy and it could even be something positive. We can go on a really cute date and maybe only a few hundreds of people see it, maybe 1,000 people. I'm not expecting that it's going to go viral. Now it has 6.9 million. I think that's what this post has. I think it's like um 6.9 million or something like that. Let me go back to her page. Let's see. I'm trying to check. It's kind of hard to see.
This is where I was gonna kill you.
Huh?
I think it might be 6.9. Let me check on my phone because it's a little hard for me to be able to see because it says just watched and it's dark. So I can't really see what it says. Yeah, 6.9 million. That's a lot of views. That's almost 7 million views. Most people would never have 7 million views on a post. She obviously has a lot of views on a lot of other things as well. It could be that that went viral and then it made a lot of her other videos become very popular. I don't know because I wasn't following her. I'm actually following her now. I followed her by accident because I was looking through her stuff. And next thing you know, I'm like, why am I following her? And I was like, why not? Keep tabs on what's going on. And just out of curiosity, I follow all types of people on social media. But it could be one of those situations where she's backtracking and she doesn't want there to be a lot of backlash towards the man that she's dating. So she has another hiking thing here.
Episode 2 of our hiking dates. The other one went so well, we wanted to find a new trail to try out. And we used an app to help you find trails in the area, and it even has reviews and just gives you all the information that you need on it. So we ended up at Victoria Glade. This trail was extremely overgrown, and it did say that on the app. We tried it, didn't like it, and so we ended up going into this little side area. Definitely probably weren't supposed to. By the way, the reason why he walks in front of me, even though I know none of y'all hike, is to make sure he gets the spider webs and they don't hit me in the face. Anyway, there wasn't really anything to this back trail. Stood over the edge. Turns out I'm still here. Ended up at this other trail at Washington State Park, and I actually loved this one. This one had 1,000 limestone steps you could climb. We also found this weird little creepy house.
She's a beautiful black woman, by the way. She has a nice shape. So I just wanted to mention that, like they say, clock that T. I'm just playing. No, but she is a pretty black woman.
Turns out, I think it was just some kind of lookout or watch area. But boy, this scene was breathtaking. Veered off on a 6-mile trail, saw this sign, and I'm actually genuinely afraid of heights. The first little cliff area, it's kind of hard to see, and I was too close to get to the edge. Something about that fear of falling, like it just hits you when you get closer and closer. But anyway, overall, the hike was really good. Anyway, we went again, and I'm glad we did. I think this is going to be our thing now. See y'all on the next trail.
I know when I talked about like Brittany Renner and I was like, she's body goals. Like I was like, yeah, this woman is body goals too. Of course, I want a smaller version because, like I said on the video from yesterday, I am only 5'1" and I don't want to be too thick, you know. So obviously, a smaller version that fits my body and my frame. But yeah, I know that takes consistency and motivation to get back into working out. So that's good that she's into fitness, she's into hiking, she's into obviously keeping her body up to par. She had another video that I saw where she talked about cleansing for her skin because it looks like maybe she has been struggling with acne. Wait a minute, is this all her page? I don't know if I remember seeing all these videos. Oh, I didn't scroll. I don't think I scrolled down that far. It was something that I had seen where she was using some. Oh, here it goes. Oh, goodness. I don't even know if I can play music like that. Actually, I probably could just turn off the sound. There we go. So, this is her basically showing. This is here. The stuff that she's using for her skin. And I was reading some of the comments from other women. Let me just make sure I'm still live. 1 second. I don't know why this thing is. Okay, that's weird. Okay. Anyways, so let's look at some of the responses that people have said to the whole hiking video that I originally showed. Let's show it one more time for those who may have missed it.
This is where I was gonna kill you.
Is it? Is it?
I don't have to record that.
Yeah.
I was just kidding.
Yeah, so it could be that it's just rage bait, especially because she said I kind of want to see him again. I mean, I don't know, right? It's hard to tell when it comes to social media. So let me see. What was the video that I originally saw? Okay, so let's go here. This is where I originally saw it. Oops. Where is the video at? I think this might be it.
This is where I was gonna kill you. This is where I was gonna kill you.
Is it?
A black woman's date threatened to kill her, but when people warned her to be careful, she defended him instead. The woman met the white man through Hinge, and their first date was a run through a wooded trail. At one point, the man ran ahead and led her into a quiet area. He then turned around and told her, "This is where I was going to kill you." When she reacted, he first asked if she was recording. After learning that she was, he quickly said he was only joking. That detail made many viewers even more concerned since they believed he only changed his words after noticing the camera. However, the woman later defended him in the comments. She said people were taking the video too seriously and needed to understand that it was only a joke. She has also posted another video showing that she went on a second date with him. Many viewers could not understand her decision. Some asked how afraid of being alone someone must be to ignore such a warning. Others said a kind and normal person would never joke about killing a woman during a first date in a remote area. After she continued to defend him, several commenters made dark jokes that they were now waiting for a new true crime documentary about the couple. What do you think?
This is Rose gonna kill you. This is Rose.
Okay, so first of all, what I would like to say is that I think that some of the comments that I'm reading are disgusting. I've read some stuff on her page. Let's go back to her account.
Okay, so
people saying, let me see, was this this is not the video. So comments like this, girl, Netflix producers are already doing push-ups for this coming true crime documentary. I'm trying to find the comments because there was certain comments that I had read on this is
Many men wish death upon me.
oh goodness, I can't play music, my bad. One second.
I guess you wonder.
Oh my goodness, it's like music on everything. Yeah, I wish I could find, it was certain comments, but it was basically people saying things like, oh, just wait and see, somebody had made a comment say he's gonna find you like this, and it was like a person with their tongue out or something like that. And she laughed too. She thought it was funny, but I didn't find it to be funny. RIP in advance, girl. Like, I just feel like certain comments are very nasty. Just because you may not agree with somebody's choice to still stay in a certain relationship does not mean that you should say things like RIP or I don't know, just weird comments, like some of them are obviously, people just expressing their opinions. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The internet will soon have major breaking news, and the tragic news will trend for like a week with everyone giving their opinion, and some will have no words to say apart from RIP. Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed because now I can't even find the comments that I originally saw. Obviously, things shift around and change because people are continuing to comment. It's almost like people are kind of expecting her for something bad to happen to her. The true crime documentary finna be lit. He's going to get away with it. He's going to blank you someday for real, girl. Like, there's ways of like sharing your opinion and maybe even warning a woman about safety and danger without making comments like that. And obviously, I'm not saying that everybody has to handle it with kitten gloves. Sometimes you do have to just be very blunt. But I just feel like some of these comments are just very distasteful, and it's almost like people are waiting for something to happen to her. They're like, oh, don't worry, he'll get you. It's only a matter of time, and he's gonna get you, girl. He's going to unalive you. This is gonna be a great, not great, but this is gonna be a lit Netflix documentary or true crime documentary. It's just really weird because like that's another trend now too with the Netflix documentary. So some people have been kind of like saying like, oh, this is going to be like a real Netflix documentary. This is an old video. Anyways, let's go back to, oh wait, listen. Okay, this is not. Sometimes when you click on a video, it then takes you to other similar things, but it's not doing that.
Just come on in. When I tell you, sisters, y'all better get yourself together. Get yourself together and know your surroundings, know what type of man you're dealing with. I think she met this guy, if not my mistaken, I think she met this guy on TikTok. She met this guy on TikTok, I believe, according to everything that I went up the rabbit hole. They go on a date, they go on this run. He takes her like under a bridge and he says, this is where I was gonna unalive you. She said, what? What you say? And she's running, but she's recording herself. When he realized that she's recording herself, she said, you recording? And she keeps running. She insisted, you can tell she said, Pan, she's with this white guy. She's with this white guy. He's a jerk. This mother blank is a jerk. What is a joke about that? This is nothing to joke about. Then she's going to go back and defend him, and say he was just joking. It was just a prank. By your face, the way your face expression looked, your face expression looked like you was scared. Your face expression looked like you was getting ready to leave out of this world. Y'all better be careful trying to meet these men on the TikTok and internet. The man clearly told you that's where he was going to unalive you until he found out you was recording. Who want to be with a sicko psycho like that would tell you that? That's not a joke. It's something that you don't joke around. And then she goes, I believe she goes on another date with him, and she goes on the internet thing to him and said he was just playing. I don't want to be with nobody.
Oops, my bad.
Just come on in, unalive you until he found out you was recording. Who want to be with a sicko psycho like that would tell you that? That's not a joke. It's something that you don't joke around. And then she goes, I believe she goes on another date with him, and she goes on the internet thing to him and said he was just playing. I don't want to be with nobody. Because the next thing you know, he's going to be calling me nigga. So I would not been going with nobody to tell me he brought me here and this is where he's going to decide to unalive me. Girl, just get yourself together.
So I think that women are surprised when women defend men. Now, obviously, like I said at the very beginning, I don't know if this was something that they both agreed on as a joke. I don't think it's funny. If that is the case, if they both were in on it for just a video, because I've seen that where interracial couple will do something as a joke and then say, oh, we were just playing, because they know that it will get a lot of views. But I still don't think it's funny, even if it was a joke. I just think there's certain things you just don't joke about, especially in this climate now with everything that's been going on. These cases with people dealing with racism and the injustice that's been going on even in 2026. So I think it's not funny. So I don't know. It looks like maybe she wasn't in on it and she was surprised and recorded it for her safety. And then now she's defending him. Of course, she's going to defend him if she's still in a relationship with him. She can't say, yeah, he's a bad guy, or yeah, he shouldn't do that, because she's still in a relationship with him. So, and even if she did leave, sometimes you still can't say much because now the guy knows where you live. He knows a lot about you, right? So I I don't know. I feel like maybe it's more of that case where she didn't know he was going to do that, and then, like I said, she recorded him for safety. But because she chose to stay, and she seems like she's still with him, she's going to defend him because that's the guy that she's in a relationship with. Women do it all the time on TikTok where they come out and they say their husband is a horrible person. I don't know if they're engaged in this case. I could have swore I saw some comment where somebody said he waited until they were engaged or something like that. I don't know if they're engaged, but I've seen videos where women will complain like, "Oh, my husband doesn't help me around the house. I'm like a single mother in a marriage. Um, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that." Sometimes they'll literally be in tears. And then when women come and say, you need to divorce him, or maybe not even just leave him, but you need to set boundaries. He's not a good husband. He shouldn't be, having you doing all that while you still have to work. And even if a woman doesn't work, but sometimes the woman is literally overwhelmed and she's not receiving any type of help, and she's expected to kind of be perfect, and which is impossible when you are a mother of multiple children, especially, and you're trying to keep the house clean, you're trying to keep things orderly, you're trying to cook, you're trying to do this, you have to run out and do errands, you have to supervise the children. Some way, somehow, you're trying to find time for yourself. Being a mother is a full-time job. People try to discount it and downplay it like, oh, you're just home, you're not doing anything. No, if you are at home, you're working nonstop to do everything you need to do to attend to those children. And I'm not a mother, and I know that. If you don't understand it, then you don't have common sense. I'm sorry to say it, but you really lack common sense and you lack empathy, because clearly being a mother is a major responsibility just of one child. So I can't imagine multiple children and you don't have anybody to help you at home, and you're at home doing 1,000 different things. Sometimes you may not even be able to even go outside to do things you need to do because you're in the house trying to attend to all these different things with children running around. So it's very difficult. Obviously, if you have to work on top of that, it will be even more challenging. But even if you're not working outside of the house, it's still a full-time job. That's why I don't know how some women do it, where they work full-time job and they're doing all that stuff at home and they're attending to their husband and they're attending to themselves some way, somehow. Most of them are drained. Most of them are tired. So they will come online sometimes and complain and say that their husbands are not helping them with anything. And then when women call it out and say, he's not a good husband because he should at least be trying to help you with something, he should at least be validating the fact that you're tired, something, then this is an unhealthy relationship. They'll come out and they'll start defending their husband and saying, no, he's a good man. He pays all the bills. No, he's good. He doesn't put his hands on me. No, he's good. And they'll like backtrack and do all these different, basically damage control, because they realize that, for one, like I mentioned at the beginning, they didn't expect the video to go viral, because most of the time when you're posting these things, like for example, this video, I'm not expecting this video to go viral. If it does, okay, that might be great. Maybe it might help somebody, but you're not always knowing if something is going to go viral. I have a video on TikTok that it's not viral, but it has maybe like 40,000 views, and it's like basically going to the Hudson River, like the walkway over Hudson. That is like my most views that I've ever had on TikTok. So you never know sometimes what is going to hit those numbers. And this is after the pandemic, because I know during the pandemic I was getting certain views that I'm not getting now as much, but that video really hit, and I haven't had a video hit like that since on TikTok. So you just sometimes always don't know what's gonna hit, especially not something that I'm sharing about my husband. But sometimes those go viral because a lot of women can relate to that. Oh, my husband's like that too. Or maybe if they're not even married, but they're upset that you have to go through that. So women are going to speak up and say, oh, that's wrong. You shouldn't have to go through that. Anything that's going to be negative, where you're speaking negative about men and about your experiences with men, for the most part, it's going to get views. It may not go viral, but you always run the possibility that it can go viral. So my thing is, like, if you don't want it to go viral, then you probably shouldn't share information about your relationship and what a man is not doing and how he's not respecting you or treating you well, because it might go viral. And that's what happened in this situation as well with the hiking.
I just want to say I'm extremely sorry for your loss. Condolences. There's nothing.
Okay, that's obviously a different type of video. 1 second. There was one that I was watching. Let me see something. This is my account. Let me see something.
In the black community, it's a lot of shit we joke about. But then there's some shit that we never joke about. And jogging with somebody in the forest and having them turn around and look at you and say, this is where I was gonna kill you, is not the type of shit we do. This black woman is on a hinge date with a white male. They're running on a trail in a forest, woods, somewhere secluded. He's in front of her. He turns around and says to her, this is where I was gonna kill you at. And she says, that's a joke. She posted it, but you don't believe me, right? Look at this shit. Listen to what he said. Nah, ain't nothing funny about this. Nah, man. Look at this shit. You don't see nothing strange about this. And then he asked, was she recording? He wasn't kidding. But see, the thing is, when they tell you the truth, you don't believe them. Mind you, look at the climate we're in right now. You mean to tell me you trust yourself? Matter of fact, I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to let you see it. Let me know, do you think he was joking? Is that something you say when you're joking? In a secluded place with a woman? Let me know. I'm out. In the black community, it's a lot of shit we joke about. But then there's some shit that we never joke about. And jogging with somebody in the forest and having them turn around and look at you and say, this is where I was going to kill you, is not the type of shit we do. This black woman is on a hinge date with a white male. They're running on a trail in a forest, woods, somewhere secluded. He's in front of her. He
Just playing it a
turns around and
second
says to her,
time.
this is where I was going to kill you at. And she says, that's a joke. She posted it, but you don't believe me, right? Look at this shit. Listen to what he said. Nah, ain't nothing funny about this. Nah, man. Look at this shit. You don't see nothing strange about this. And then he asked, was she recording? He wasn't kidding. But see, the thing is, when they tell you the truth, you don't believe them. Mind you, look at the climate we're in right now. You mean to tell me you trust yourself? Matter of fact, I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to let you see it. Let me know, do you think he was joking? Is that something you say when you're joking? In a secluded place with a woman? Let me know.
Personally, I've never dealt with a man and he made a joke about unaliving me. That's not cool. I don't think that's ever appropriate. I don't think it would ever be appropriate for me to make a joke like that about a man either. Like, oh, like say like I'm hanging out with a guy and we're out somewhere and I'm like, oh, this is where I could have unalived you, or this is what I could have done. Oh, while you were sleeping, I could have X, Y, Z to you. Why would I joke like that? Even if it's a joke, why would I even say that? That man has a right to side eye me and be like, nah, I gotta watch you because something's wrong with you. You know what I mean? You think that's cute, you think it's funny. Even a man who's much bigger than me, because I'm obviously a tiny woman, like even a man like that, I would advise him to be careful, because just because I'm smaller than him doesn't mean I can actually do something to him when he least expects it. Men always assume that women can't harm them. They're like, oh, she's just a woman, especially like if you're tiny like me. Oh, she's so tiny, she can't do nothing to me. No, he should consider his safety. Like, yo, she made a joke about unaliving me. Yeah, this is not cool. Like, because now he can't feel safe falling asleep around me. Now he can't feel safe with his back turned. He doesn't know what I could do. And like I said, even if I say, oh, I'm just joking, it's not something to joke about. So nobody should joke like that. Whether it's a friendship, no friend should joke about unaliving their friends, family members. I just feel like there's just certain things you just don't joke about. So like I said at the beginning, I don't know for sure if they both were in on it and they both posted it for a clout. It seems like I said, it seems like she genuinely was fearful and genuinely was confused and wanted to have proof that he said what he said, because sometimes you go ahead and you say, oh, this guy said this, and then they try to say I didn't say that. So now she has proof, and I think because like I said, she chose to stay, now she is trying to defend him. So yeah,
In the black community,
let me just pause this. So somebody said, I don't think he was joking at all. Recording him saved her life. old boy was trying to get her tired so she couldn't fight back. That was an interesting point because I've actually seen other instances where women say they've gone hiking with men and the men just literally start running off. There have actually been situations where women have lost their lives or almost lost their lives because of that, because the man intentionally ran off and now she's left in the wilderness somewhere in the woods, wherever she's at, some desert, and now she has no way to she doesn't have any support because he's gone. And now she doesn't know which way to go. She doesn't have enough water. She doesn't have enough food. This is why I find it obviously when you're jogging and you're hiking, you can't carry a lot of stuff. But I'm sorry, I'm just too paranoid. I have to have a bag. I have to have some water. I have to have a snack. I gotta have a few little things in there for safety. That's just me because I'm gonna go hiking. Like when I went to the walkway over Hudson, like I actually brought a book bag with like extra stuff because I'm like, even though it's not like a overnight trip, but I am going all the way up to Poughkeepsie away from the city, and I might need to change. I might need, this. So I had extra water. I had, other little things that I carried with me just in case. You just never know when you're gonna need those things. You're hiking, you may need band-aids, you may need things so like if you get hurt, you may need like a small little first aid thing. You may need also what else? Like my life straw, for example. Like I might bring something like that because you never know if you run out of water and then you have to go to a creek somewhere. I just feel like it's just good to be prepared. I'm just a paranoid person. But especially if I'm going to be with a guy, like, I don't know, a woman too. But she said it wasn't their first time hiking together. She said that people tried to make it seem like that was her first time ever meeting him and that was their first link up and they went hiking. So she was saying that's not the case. But I think that you still have to be careful. Unless you've known somebody for an extended period of time, I feel like you have to be careful going off to the woods with them somewhere, hiking somewhere, because you just hear these crazy stories about things that are happening to women, and we just have to be so careful. I think back about situations that I put myself in when I was younger, and I say I'm grateful that, God protected me because it's like, why would you put yourself in that situation? You don't know this person well. And I even look back even on women who turned against me. I'm thinking they're my friends and then threatened me later on. And it's scary when you think about that because you're like, these people, if they were really on that type of time, these women could have did something to me. So even when it comes to women, you have to be careful. But in this case, we're talking about going on hikes with men. As women, we need to stop putting ourselves in some of these situations. Obviously, if he did something to her, it's not her fault. But we also have to use discernment because we see the climate of what's going on these days. Like I said, I used to put myself in some crazy situations, but that was like over a decade ago. Nowadays, I feel like it's even worse because there's so much debauchery going on. There's so much feud and war between like the man and woman gender wars, right? There's so much this versus that and this versus that. Then there's also the race wars. I mean, it's always obviously been a thing, but now it's like a hot topic, right? So things are very sensitive. The climate is very sensitive. We also have the economic climate. We have the wars going on. There's a lot of stuff going on simultaneously at one time. People are on edge. People are struggling. People are going through a lot. So you just have to be very careful with how you move when it comes to dating. And I'm speaking from experience. I've never gone on any hiking with a guy, but I just believe that you just have to be careful doing these type of things because you're in the middle of nowhere. And if this guy runs off and leaves you there, what are you going to do? And like I said, a lot of these people, I don't even see them carrying book bags. They're not even prepared, or if he decides to do something to you, does somebody have your location? Do they know exactly where you're at? And, are they tracking you? Because even if you say, oh, I'm going to this actual place, yeah, but where in that place are you now? Because you're running around on a hiking trail. So they're going to have to be able to find exactly where you are. You have to be very careful. They could also be animals. So if he leaves you out there like that, you can be unsafe in so many different ways. So obviously not all men are like this. You always have men who say, well, not all men and not all men, which I find kind of interesting because they never say not all women. When women do things, they will bark on that and use that to try to paint all women the same way, especially when it comes to BLK women. But when it comes to calling out behavior of men, they just say not all men. Obviously, nobody's talking about every single man on the face of the earth. But these situations are happening too often where women are going out in the woods with these men and then something ends up happening to her. And then because of the race dichotomy, you have to understand that people are going to be concerned because, like I said, because of the climate that we're living in, the whole thing that has been happening with Nolan Wells, with just so many different stuff has been occurring. So people are going to naturally have their antennas up and be like, wait a minute, why is this man running off in the woods with you? Why is he running ahead of you? Why is he not running next to you? Obviously, he may not be able to run next to you the entire time. You're all running at different paces, but why is he running so far ahead of you? Why is he making these type of jokes about unaliving you? People are going to naturally be concerned because, for one, women have been going through a lot of things when it comes to their safety, but also because, like I said, of the race dichotomy. So you can't be surprised. I'm sure she's not surprised per se, but you kind of have to expect that that's the response you're going to get if you post that. Maybe she posted it initially, like I said, for safety, and then because she chose to stay, now she's backtracking and saying, no, yeah, that happened, but he's still a great guy. He's a kind guy. Yeah, but you just have to be careful.
In Germany, we have a poop show.
So yeah, let me see. Let me see if I can go. We're gonna start wrapping this up. I don't want this to be too drawn out. See, men, they don't really give women a benefit of the doubt like that. When men see that a woman is a certain way, he usually clocks it and he usually files it and he takes note of it. Now, that doesn't mean that he may always cut the woman off, but he knows that now going forward, he sees her a certain way. But with women, sometimes we'll go through experiences with men and we won't, file it and say, okay, now going forward, am I going to stay with this man? And if I am, now I have to see him a certain way because he has done XYZ. No, we try to gloss over it and say, oh, well, that was just one instance. Oh, he didn't really mean it. And that can be very dangerous. It may not even be something that can cost us our lives. It may just be something like on a lower scale that can cause us heartbreak and pain. But either way, we have to be very careful. What is this?
Right now, I'm walking alone stranded because he let me by myself. I should have never came with it.
Oh wow, this is actually another video.
Think about it. Anytime you think about
it says you go on a hike with him in the mountains, but he leaves you alone by yourself and you realize he never liked you to begin with.
I feel so terrible. Like, this is the worst Saturday of my life. I could have been at home peaceful. I could have done work out of my house.
That's scary. It's a good thing it's daytime. I mean, see, me, I wouldn't actually mind going on a hike by myself as long as it's obviously not some secluded, weird situation. But it's one thing when you're with somebody and they intentionally leave you. That's a whole different story. Like somebody said, I wouldn't even leave someone I met 5 minutes ago behind on a hike. Exactly. Like if I met a woman today and we decided, let's go on a hike together, we just met, I wouldn't leave her behind. Even if we started like having like an argument or we didn't get along, I would say, you know what, let's head back to XYZ. And I'll just go back with her. Even if it was a man and maybe he was like, he needed help or something, I would still like go get him help, or I would try to like, go back with him. But I wouldn't just leave him there to fend for himself. I just wouldn't do that. So I just don't understand why some of these men do this stuff, because it's actually really scary. And somebody said, I didn't even realize this was a common thing. A stranger wouldn't even do this. There's a name for this, Alpine divorce. I've actually heard of that. That's actually the name that I was I couldn't remember it. But I remember I was saying there are people who actually have gone through this. Women who are being left in the woods on purpose and then being abandoned. And then sometimes they actually lose their lives because of it. Because now they have no way to fend for themselves. They have no support. They have no food. They have no water. Maybe they originally did, but because they got left there so long, now they've run out of water and food and they have no way to really get back, or sometimes they'll end up falling off of a cliff somewhere and then they'll be like, oh, it was just an accident. But meanwhile, he pushed her over. So you have to be so careful, even if it's your own husband. If you're in a relationship with a man and it's very tumultuous and y'all are going back and forth, especially if there's like physical stuff going on, where he's harming you. But even if not, like threats or just a lot of rage, a lot of contention, even if he's not a man who necessarily have ever been violent towards you, but a lot of contention, do not go to the woods with him. Do not go on no hiking trip with him. Do not do that. If you are in a relationship with a man and he starts getting very aggressive, he starts talking crazy, and he's like, well, I'm going to come pick you up, just be like, I'll just see you another day. Do not go, because he may not be dangerous, right? Sometimes men just have rage and they go through stuff just like women. We have our crash out moments. Doesn't mean the person's always going to harm you, but to be safe, just don't go off to the woods with him, because you don't know. You don't know what that can happen, what can occur out of that, what can transpire out of that. And now you're in the woods. Now you're on a hiking trail with a man, and you have no protection. You have no support. You're literally out there by yourself. Thankfully, there was 2 people walking up the trail as she was going down in this video. This is obviously a different situation, a different video, but it's just like, it's scary. Oh, so this happened in February. Somebody said on a Saturday, as in on Valentine's Day. Yes. So this guy did this to her on Valentine's Day. Wow. Somebody said, my boyfriend did this to me. I found another hiker to show me how to get back. Then I went home and blocked his number. Somebody said, report it to the police. This is so dangerous. I'm so sorry. Somebody said, this is so unsafe. I'm so sorry. Somebody said, it happened to me many years ago. I met 2 girls on a mountain and told them what happened, and we walked down together. They wouldn't let me go alone. I'll never forget them. Oh, wow. See, I always say, like, when women, we come together, like, we can do so much good for each other. Somebody said, file a police report. Somebody said, I wouldn't do this to a stranger or even an enemy. Exactly. Somebody said, this is a crime. I'm not sure if it's actually a crime. I mean, if the person was doing it to intentionally cause you to lose your life, then obviously it's a crime. It's attempted, But either way, it's very scary. I've never had a man go out of his way to just leave me somewhere stranded, and now I have no way to get around. I don't know where I'm at. I'm completely alone. I've never had that happen to me. And I've been in situations with guys that wasn't always healthy, right? The relationship wasn't healthy. It was not a healthy situation, but I never was like, oh, the guy was like, oh, I'm just going to leave you stranded. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's not cool. And like I said, even to a friend or a family member, it's not cool when you do stuff like that, especially in the middle of the woods or a trail or the desert or whatever that is. It looks kind of like a desert hiking type trail. It's not cool. Somebody said, I got left alone in the forest once. LOL. Had to walk back 2 hours by myself after he drove off. Never spoke to the MF again. Are you serious? Somebody said they had to walk back 2 hours. So that sounds like it was a good distance. I wouldn't even do this to my worst enemy, somebody said. I am baffled to see how common this is from the comments. Basically, that's why I was saying from the beginning that these things happen. So now this is validating what I had already said, because I had learned about this stuff online, and I was like, what? Like, it was like I said, because I had never experienced it. I have experienced, I'm not going to talk about it on this live. I have experienced a series of other things with guys, but never to where I was left stranded in the middle of nowhere. That's never happened. So I knew that guys were capable of doing all types of stuff, but I just never knew that they would, because like I said, I've never gone hiking with a guy. So that was not something that I ever really thought about, like, oh, if I go hiking with a guy, like, this would happen. He would just leave me stranded, because that wasn't something I was even doing. But like I said, I'm a paranoid person, so I would probably still show up with a whole book bag, because I need to have my stuff. Even if he's safe, I need to have my stuff. Anything can happen to him, so he may need stuff too. So I need to be prepared, and I would hope that he's prepared too. Like, he's not just showing up just with nothing. Like, we need to be prepared. We're on a hiking trip. Anything can happen. So I don't know. Like, it's just really, really sad. Somebody said, if I circle back and she's defending him, I'm going to lose it. Somebody said, no, because we've lived lives so long. Sometimes we need to reality test before we can mobilize. Hold coherence and compassion for her. This isn't enabling. That is steady love, and her nervous system needs it. Exactly. So that's what I was saying, like in the other thing with the situation with the lady, this whole thing of people making jokes about he's going to unalive her. Oh, it's going to be This documentary is going to be lit. It's almost like people are waiting for the shoe to drop for her to be unalived so they can say, I told you so. See, he unalived her. I told you, she didn't listen. That's what she gets. She should have left him. It's almost like people get a kick out of that. It's really, really strange. So yes, there's a space to say, girl, you need to leave him because he shouldn't be making those type of jokes about you, even if he's playing, even if you were in on it and y'all both joke together. The fact that he was okay with joking like that. If I came to a man and I said, oh, hey, let's make a video where we're in the woods and you joke about unaliving me, and then I'm in on it and we get views, even if that was the case, the guy that I'm dating should be like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. First of all, I'm not going to put myself out there and then now people going to come for me and say, oh, he's some type of person that unalives women. Secondly, I don't joke like that. So why would you want to joke like that? That should be his response. He shouldn't be like, oh yeah, let's do it. Because even if it's not true and he's not that type of guy, why would he even want to joke like that? So either way, whether it was a joke on both of their ends or not, which I think it might not be. I think it was more so she got scared and she posted it and she's backtracking. But even if it was planned, the fact that he was okay with that is weird. Or the fact that he didn't call it out after the fact and say, oh, I didn't know she was going to post this. Like, we were joking about it and we both agreed not to post it because it wasn't appropriate, but she still posted it. That wasn't the response. It seems like she posted it for safety. And I don't know what he's saying because I don't know what his page is. But it seems like they both don't see anything wrong with what was done. So I think that yes, you can say that it's problematic to potentially risk staying in a relationship and also kind of publicizing that, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, he's not a bad guy. Oh, let me show you all these other things that he's doing that are great. He's kind. I think that could be the danger of it because even if he genuinely is not the kind of guy who would ever do anything harmful to her, and I hope that's the case, that may not be the case for somebody else, right? So a younger woman or somebody who may be more desperate, right? Or who may be more pressed to be in a relationship, or they may be naive or whatever, they could put themselves in the same situation and then be like, oh, well, see, it's not a big deal. See, he never unalived her. And then when it happens to them, they may not be as lucky. So I think that is one thing to post it and to get that kind of response and then be like, okay, well, I'm still not going to leave him. But then to continuously make videos and then say, oh, yeah, but he's still a kind guy. Of course, like I said, she's going to do that because she's in a relationship with him. But I just feel like that could be also problematic. I think that it would be responsible to make a video and say, I'm choosing to stay with him. That's the choice that I'm choosing to make. But in other situations, if you are in a situation like this, I would advise you to be very careful, to use discernment because it may not go the same for you. So don't see my social media and believe everything you see. And then in real life, something happens to you, because I would hate for that to be you. But of course, that might not happen. But I think that it can be a little irresponsible. Obviously, she may not be thinking that way. She may not be like, oh, I don't care about other women's safety, so I'm going to just say he's kind. I don't think she's thinking that way. But I'm saying that could be a product of that. Women who, like I said, are naive or a lot more desperate or who are willing to do anything to have a man, they may be like, oh, well, I'm dealing with a guy who has done something similar, but she seems to be okay, so I should be okay too. Which is obviously not always the case. And then something ends up actually happening to her. Because like I said, these situations have actually happened where women have gone on hiking trips and men have left them stranded or actually unalived them. So I think that it can be a little dangerous with these social media viral videos. And then women come back and defending them. It's the same thing, like I said, with the married women where they will say, oh, my husband is abusive. Oh, my husband is this. Oh, my husband is that. And sometimes they're just complaining about the fact that he's not helping her around the house and stuff like that. But sometimes it could also be situations where the woman is actually going through physical situations and she will still obviously defend him because she's in a relationship still with him. But the problem is, like I said, that could be dangerous for other women who may be in the same situation, or in the future they get into a situation like that. And then they think, oh, well, she's fine. Nothing bad happened to her. And then they end up in a situation that they can't get out of, because that's usually the case. Yes, there are exceptions There's always going to be exceptions to the rule. That's like me meeting a guy, and I say, "Oh, I met this guy today." I'm just hypothetical. Obviously, I'm not out here dating, meeting guys. But let's just say hypothetical. Oh, I meet a guy today, and I sleep with him tonight. Oh, he marries me next year. Okay, that's great. But how the chances of that happening is slim to none, right? So why would I then? And then when women say, "Oh, that wasn't wise that you slept with this guy, you just met him," this is all the reasons why it wasn't wise. And then I defend and say, "No, no, no, but he's a good guy. He's just, and then I say, "See, he married me. He still married me." Okay, that's great, but that's not going to be the case for most women. So that can be problematic to kind of push a narrative that it's not a big deal. Like you can sleep with a guy on the first date. It's not a big deal. Like just, as long as you're safe or whatever. See, I got married, but that's not how it's going to work for a lot of women. So I should come out and say, you know what, ladies, that's a decision that I made. I made a decision that was probably a poor decision for various reasons. I put my safety at risk. I could have got pregnant. Anything could happen, right? So I made a risk like that. Please do not go out and do that. Now, if that's your choice, then that's on you. But please do not do that and then expect that this is going to turn out like this for you, because it most likely will not. So I just want you to be careful, because I don't want anybody to go out there and do that and something happens to them. Not even just your safety, like something like you lose your life or anything extreme, but just you getting heartbroken. You end up wasting your time. You getting, used and just mishandled. Please don't do that. Right? That would be the responsible thing to do. So I can still defend my decision to stay. I can still defend my decision that, see, it worked out for me. But then I can still be honest and say the average woman should not do this because this might not work well for her in the long run. That's what I feel like is a responsible thing to do. But that takes maturity, that takes humility, that takes a lot of other things, right? It's easy to be like, oh, everything is fine with my relationship. Y'all are just a bunch of haters. Or, oh, and I'm not saying that's what this woman is saying. Like the first woman, the one that we originally saw. I'm not saying that's what she's saying. I'm just saying that because I saw a comment saying like, "Oh, these people are haters" and things like that. I don't think that is always that people are hating. That's one thing I just cannot stand. I cannot stand when people make certain decisions and then you speak about it. I'm not talking about the comments that are weird, like, "Oh, he's gonna unalive you, ha 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 ha," or "This is gonna be a lit documentary, true crime. This is gonna be lit." No, I'm not talking about those weird comments. People who are almost waiting for her downfall with this white man. That's disgusting. That's weird. I'm talking about the ones who genuinely are trying to warn her, right? There was one that said something about haters, and it's like, everybody's not a hater. Some people are trying to speak up and say something because they genuinely care and they worry. Some women have actually been through this in their own lives, and maybe horrible things have happened to them or have almost happened to them, and they don't want that to happen to somebody else. Some of these women are older, they have more wisdom, they have more life experience with men, so they're speaking from experience. I think it's actually a blessing. Sometimes we are so wrapped up and caught up in our experiences with men, we don't want to hear anything. We want people to just shut up and just be quiet and just let us live in our delusion and just completely continue to be taken advantage of by that man. Mind your business. I'm going to do what I want to do. It's my body. It's my time. It's my energy. I'm a grown woman, blah, 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 blah. But a part of being a grown woman is also being responsible and using discernment. It's not wise for me to put myself in certain situations with men that could cost me my safety and my well-being. So when somebody's coming to me and telling me, "Hey, you're doing too much," or "Hey, you need to kind of slow down," or "Hey, you need to be careful," "Hey, you need to consider cutting this guy off." Most of the time, if they're doing it and they love you, they're doing it because they really care about your safety, or they care about you wasting your time or your well-being. But we get so caught up in we want what we want. We get caught up in our ego. We don't want to hear anything. Everybody's a hater. Everybody's jealous. No, nobody is jealous. Nobody in their right mind, that is. And now there are people who are jealous of situations that are unhealthy. But nobody in their right mind who is healthy and who's working on themselves are going to be a hater and jealous of something that's toxic. No, they're genuinely trying to help you. Either because, like I said, they've already gone through it, they're currently going through it, or they just have a certain level of wisdom and they don't want something to happen to you. But we'll be in such a delulu land where it's like everybody's a hater. So I'm not saying that woman was saying that. I'm saying that there was a comment that I had seen where there was a comment that I had seen where the person was saying, "Oh, these people are just haters." They would say, basically telling her, "Oh, don't pay attention to them. They're just haters." I've had people do that to me too, where somebody will say something to me and I'll share it and they'll be like, "Oh, they're just jealous of you." And I'm like, everybody's not always jealous of me. Like everything isn't always jealousy. Everything isn't always a hater. Sometimes people really are nasty, they are mean, but I don't think everybody's always hating off of you. So it's just, I don't know, it's just weird. But I'm gonna start wrapping this up because I think I've kind of said enough. But yeah, ladies, be very careful with let's go back to her page one more time and then we'll just wrap this up. Let me just find her page because I don't remember what her page. I didn't even realize I was talking this long. I really didn't want this video to be this long, but sometimes you just have to kind of talk and really express things because I feel like it's important. This is important, you know. And I hope that, and I know my videos don't really get that many views, but I hope that somebody hears this and they're careful. You know, sometimes women, we are in competition with each other. Oh, that would never happen to me. That may have happened to you. You are stupid. You put yourself in situations like that with guys. That wouldn't happen to me. It's like, no, every woman is capable of being in a situation where she could be harmed. So we need to learn to humble ourselves and we need to learn to be realistic and we need to learn to have discernment and put our ego aside and move accordingly. This is why sometimes women, we end up in situations that we end up in. I've never really had that type of mindset. My reasoning for falling into situations with guys wasn't because I was like, oh, well, it won't happen to me, it happened to her. No, it wasn't so much that. But I have seen that be a thing as well. Especially for women is beautiful, she has a nice body, or she's of a certain caliber. She just feels like no guy would do me like that because look at me, look at how I look. I've actually heard some women say that. Look at me, look at how beautiful I am. Like no guy would do that to me, or no guy would ever dare talk to me like that or do this to me. And it's like, why do you believe that? Why do you believe that just because you look a certain way, a man wouldn't see you a certain way or he wouldn't handle you a certain way? That's a very ignorant way of seeing life. Yes, you may have different experiences maybe than a woman who's a plain Jane and vice versa. But that doesn't mean that man, we see so many examples of beautiful women ended up getting bamboozled by men all the time. So I don't know why some women, so same thing, like, oh, I'm rich or I have a house and my own car and this and that. So I'm not dependent on a man. So there's no way that I would fall for that, as if independent women don't fall for things too. Yes, sometimes if you don't have your own money, your own this, your own that, you may be more susceptible to certain things. But it doesn't mean that just because you have those things, you're automatically going to be exempt from certain experiences. No, we see it all the time where women have their own place, their own car, and they still end up in situations. We see it even with celebrities. Women will be rich and famous and end up in the most bizarre situations with men. And even women who don't have much to their name are like, I don't understand how she's falling for this because she's such a wealthy, successful, famous woman. And that just goes to show that just because a woman has beauty or she has her body is banging or she has money, she has fame and fortune or whatever it is that she has, or she's extremely intelligent or she has college degrees, doesn't mean that that's going to stop her from ending up in situations with men that are unhealthy. A lot of times we have to do the internal work and also be aware of what's going on around us. And like I said, put our ego aside and move accordingly. Use discernment and protect ourselves and do the internal work so that we're less susceptible, not completely exempt, because like I said, nobody's exempt to having negative experiences with men, but we minimize certain experiences. Some women, they just decide just not to date altogether, and that's their choice. And I don't blame them because some of the stuff that I'm seeing out here is a little bit crazy. But if you do choose to date, that's fine too, because there are men that you may meet that may be really great, and that's great for you, but you have to move a certain way. And you can't think that because you have a certain level of beauty or fame or fortune or, like I said, intelligence, college degree, that's going to stop you. If anything, sometimes that makes you more of a target, you know, so you just have to be careful. But even like I said the other day, yesterday, that sometimes even if you don't have the beauty, that can be a problem too with certain situations, because sometimes men will see themselves as the prize and that you should be grateful to have them. And then that can come with its own set of things, right? So you just have to know how you're perceived. You kind of have to know how to move and move accordingly when you're dealing with these guys out here, because that's what guys do. They're very observant and they move a certain way. I don't think I've ever really seen a guy give women a give women a benefit of the doubt. I don't think I rarely ever see that. You know, we women will give men a benefit of the doubt. but a lot of times they won't do the same, and they're going to protect themselves. They're going to do what they have to do to protect themselves, and I don't blame them. That's what they should do. You have to protect yourself. Even if you're with somebody that is not necessarily a dangerous person, but anything can happen to them. Anything can change. They can change their mind. They can evolve. They can grow. If you're just kind of living in la la land, you're going to be taken by surprise by certain things, right? So you need to keep your head on a swivel and always be kind of prepared and don't get too comfortable. And I think as women, we do that, and then we lose ourselves. We do all types of stuff sometimes, and it can cause us to end up in situations. So this is her page. I hope everything works out well for her. And I hope she stays safe. And, like I said, you just have to use discernment and be careful as we're going, because there's women who have never had any threats like that. I mean, it wasn't a threat, it was a joke, but there are women who've never experienced that type of joke, and they ended up in situations where they lost their lives. So just because a man makes a joke doesn't mean he's going to do it. And also, just because a man doesn't make a joke doesn't mean he's safe, because like I said, there's a lot of, you hear so many things on the news. Oh, he seemed like such a nice guy, he always was so respectful, he never said anything bad, he never had any signs. I mean, there's usually always signs, but obviously people outside of the relationship won't see that, and they'll automatically assume that he's a good person because he just seems so nice. Meanwhile, the guy that may not have seemed so nice, he actually was not going to do something bad to her, and the guy that they assumed wouldn't is the one who did it. So you just have to use discernment. But I do still believe that no man should be making jokes about unaliving you. And no woman should be making jokes about unaliving their friends, family. Nobody should be making these jokes at all in general, because it's not cool. And I believe that even if a person would never do it, why would they joke about it? So that's basically what I have to say. Ladies, please stop going on these hiking trips with these guys. I don't know how long she's known him since that experience where he said that. She said that wasn't the first time that they had that experience. I don't know what video was that she had spoken about that she said it wasn't their first time hiking. So maybe they have known each other for some time. But the fact that she posted it means that maybe she felt unsafe. So I think she just needs to listen to her God-given intuition and not ignore any signs, and, protect herself. And if she decides to leave, don't tell him that you're leaving. Just leave and be safe, maybe move. And, because unfortunately, when a guy knows where you live and all that, it's just very unfortunate. So you just have to be careful with how you choose to leave a relationship. If she just so happens to want to leave, and she's wise in not wanting to tear him apart because she's still with him. What sense would it make for her to speak out against him and his character if she's still dating him? This is how I know that a lot of women don't think about their safety, and they don't think and they have foresight about how things can affect them. If you're still in a relationship with a man, why would you then come out and be like, yeah, you're right, he's a potential person who can unalive me. Yeah, you're right, he's a horrible person. Why would she continue to keep coming out with that type of rhetoric if she's still dating him? That would not make any sense. That would actually put her in even more danger. So it's actually not wise for her to do that, right? So if she is planning to leave, it would actually be wise for her to just continue doing what she's doing and then plan her escape and not tell him and then move. That would be the wise thing. And obviously get some resources with people who are trained in that, and they can actually help you leave safely. Not, oh, she's going to go ahead and agree with all the comments and say how horrible of a person he is while still interacting with him. That wouldn't be safe. If he really was unsafe, that would be the worst advice. And like I said, don't tell him you're leaving if you plan to leave. That's also unsafe to do. So I hope the best for her, and I hope everything works out, like I said, for her, because at the end of the day, people are going to stay in relationships, and women have to be ready to leave relationships when they're ready to leave. It doesn't matter how much we say, oh, he's not a good person. Oh, he's dangerous. Oh, he's disrespectful. Oh, he's going to waste your time. Oh, he's going to use you. Oh, he's going to do this. It doesn't matter. A woman is going to leave when she's ready to leave. Period. There's nothing else to it. you know, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't still say something. I think you should still say something. I remember I saw something that said, um, it was something about like a seed. It was basically saying like sometimes, um, like you should still like plant the seed. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. It was something about that. But basically, in a nutshell, sometimes like we plant the seeds and we think that we're gonna be the ones to be able to get it to sprout. But sometimes by just planting the seed, that's all that we need to do. And then from there, as time goes on, maybe somebody else will water it, somebody else will do this, somebody else, or the person themselves, right? So we should still plant the seed because at least the seed is planted and then it can sprout from there. And the hope is that the person will then, be able to leave safely when it's time for them to leave. Because they said that one of the most unsafe times for a woman to leave a relation, one of the most unsafe times for a woman is when she leaves a relationship, even if it's not an abusive relationship, but especially if it is, right? But even if it's not, because sometimes you've never experienced any type of abuse with the guy, and then when you want to leave, you see a whole different side of rage and whatever. So you do have to be careful. Obviously, nobody's going to be happy when you're trying to leave a relationship with them. Even a healthy person is going to get upset. They're going to be hurt. So you really don't know how they're going to react. So sometimes you just have to be very careful with how you go about doing things. And yeah, like I said, women are going to leave whenever they're ready, and that's just going to be however they choose to go about it. You still plant the seed and you still say whatever you need to say, and like that person said, you still hold space and compassion for the person, and you just wish them well, and you just keep them in your thoughts that hopefully they'll be able to be safe. But yeah, ladies, stop going on those hiking trips, because those hiking dates, trips, whatever they're called, because you just have to be careful. I personally think that the group ones are better. You better off sometimes going on a solo one by yourself, because at least you know where you're going, you know what the case is, right? But be very careful of the situations you put yourself in. So I'm gonna stop here because this live is pretty long, but somebody will listen to it. And take care. I'll talk to y'all again soon. Bye.